Hello again. Welcome to Smeester's Corner. I'm Adam Smeester. Today's topic is resilience. So we're going to talk about things that help a person become more resilient. Now, if you are lacking in one of these things, what you can do is try to make a goal to get better at one of these things. But we should all try to strive to be resilient. And here's why. Your resilience is your toughness. It is your mental toughness, your emotional toughness, your mental toughness. And you want to be somewhat tough in those areas because it's your ability to get back up when you get knocked down or when you get run over. It's your ability to recover. The more resilience you have, when bad things happen to you, when tragedy strikes, it might not be as bad. Or if it's really bad, it might not be that bad for as long, the more resilience that you have. So we should all strive to be resilient. Now, to be resilient, you need 5 things. And we need to work on these 5 things. No one's good at these 5 things, all of them. No one's good at all of them. But we should try to strive to be the best we can at all 5. So I'm going to introduce each 5 and then talk about each one of them. The first one is to stretch yourself. The second one is to have a spark of belief in yourself. The third one is to care about yourself. Fourth, to have social networks. And fifth, to have goals. The first one is to stretch yourself. So what does stretch yourself mean? Stretching yourself means you voluntarily take on a task. That is different than taking on a task because you have to. To voluntarily take it on means you're not just doing it just for the sake of it, but you decided that you're going to try to get through it because you want to do the best you can at whatever it is you're doing. Even if you don't want to do it, you're going to try to do it the best you can. Versus just getting through the task and resenting every single moment of it. So think of it this way. Everybody has potential. What is potential? There's actually scientific potential built into us. So in your body, we have these proteins locked in our DNA. Those proteins are part of ourselves that have been locked in our DNA that don't come out until we unlock them. Well, how do you unlock them? To unlock them, you voluntarily take on stress. When you voluntarily take on stress, those proteins will be unlocked and it's like a new part of yourself. That's what creates muscle memory. That's what happens when you go to practice, is when you voluntarily take on that stress and you get better at doing that thing because those proteins are being unlocked. Now we do that with physical things like practice, but we also need to try to do that with mental things and emotional things and voluntarily take those things on and try to get through them the best you can, thinking to yourself, I'm going to get through this and I'm going to do the best I can so that those proteins will be unlocked so that it will help you get through those issues. If you take on a task and you're resenting every part of it and you don't want to get through it or you're just trying to run from it, you will never unlock that potential. There's parts of you that are hidden inside of you and you will never figure out what you could be. Also, when you voluntarily take on tasks or stretch yourself, you are testing your limits so that you know what you can take and what's going to be hard for you. This will prepare you in life. This prepares you for hard times. It prepares you for tragedy because you know where your limits are. The more prepared you are, the more you will be able to take in life. To get through suffering, and that's the thing about life, is you never know when you are going to encounter suffering. You have to be able to go anywhere. And you won't be able to go anywhere unless you stretch yourself when you're at the places that you're at. The second way to be resilient is to have a spark of belief in yourself, which means you have to try to get through something. If you never try, you will never believe in yourself. Some people have a false belief in themselves, thinking that, oh, if I did that, I would be great at it. If I did that, I'd be great at it. But they never try it. So they're all talk. And we all know people like this who are just all talk. And they say, well, I could have done this and I could have done that. But they didn't. That's the thing. Because they didn't try and everybody knows they're not a person who tries. Even sometimes if you don't think you can do it, you have to try to have that spark of belief in yourself. And it's called a spark because once you try, you will realize what you're capable of and then you can reach your potential. The third way to be more resilient is to care about yourself. If you didn't care about yourself, then what's the point of trying? Because you don't care. Why would you try to get through something if you don't care about yourself enough to get through it? You have to care about yourself. In life, it's not a given that other people are going to care about you. You have to care about you. You have to treat yourself like somebody that you care about. Just like you would treat your friends or your family or someone that you care about, you have to treat yourself the same way. Even if you don't really feel it inside, even if you think you're just going through the motions of caring about yourself, you still have to do it to try to start caring about yourself. Eventually, you'll start to believe it. The fourth way to be more resilient, and this is a really important one, is to have social networks. That just doesn't mean friends. You should have some friends that you can go to, because life is complex. Things will happen to you, and nobody is strong enough to be able to get through life on their own. You're going to need people. So not only are you going to need friends, but you need social networks. That's like a group or something that you belong to or that you go to. So maybe that's a religious group. Maybe that's a school group. Maybe there's a sports group in your neighborhood, like the parks and rec centers. When people go to treatment for addiction, the most important thing that they have around them are social networks. That's why they do those things in groups, because you need groups for support. And you can't just have like one or two friends. You need to be part of a group, a fabric of something that's greater than yourself. It gives a person a sense of belonging. And once you have that sense of belonging, you end up trusting yourself more, you end up trusting other people more, which allows you to open up to people, which allows you to get through things and situations. It's like spiraling up instead of down. All right, the fifth way to become more resilient, and this is probably one of the more important ones, is to have goals. Now, I was always told as a kid that I needed to have goals. I don't really know what that meant, but goals can mean a lot of different things. But here's what happens in your mind when you have goals. When you have a goal and you take a step towards that goal, your brain releases serotonin and dopamine because you feel good that you've just taken a step towards something positive. You're moving and you're not stagnant. But when your brain releases that serotonin and dopamine, your brain pretty much rewires itself to get that hit of serotonin and dopamine again. So it will rewire itself for behaviors that contribute to taking more steps towards that same goal. That's why some people are addicted to success, because they make a goal, they accomplish it, they want more. They make another goal, they accomplish it, they want more. So their brain is literally like almost addicting them to taking steps towards those goals. And that's a positive thing. You don't want to go in the opposite direction where you're getting addicted and taking steps towards something negative, because you could fill that void of moving towards something either forward or backwards. Goals give a person a why in life. They give you a reason for doing something. They give you a reason for being. They give you a reason for being in class instead of just sitting there and existing in class or whatever, or at work, or whatever it is that you're doing. If you just sit there and exist in life, maybe tragedy happens, maybe it doesn't, but you're not going to feel fulfilled. Good things rarely come to people who just sit around and wait for them. You have to go get them, which is what a goal is. A goal means you're moving towards something. If you just sit there and you're stagnant, eventually everybody else will move past you, and it's almost like you're moving backwards because everybody else is moving forward and you're not moving anywhere. Someone might say, so what? Why do I need to move forward? Well, what happens in life if you never move forward? The only thing that happens to you is you get old. Who wants to be around an old person who's never done anything? Do you know people like that? Maybe you've been around people like that, but no one wants to be around an old person who's never done anything and they just talk about all the woulda, couldas. So it gives you a why. A person that has a why can overcome any how, which is, how am I going to get through this? You'll figure it out if you have a strong why. Also, if you have a why in life, somewhere that you're trying to go, when tragedy does come, it gives you a reason to get up and move on. It gives you a reason to get through the bad days, which helps you get through the bad days. So when you encounter tragedy, if you have goals, it's easier to get through that tragedy. If you encounter tragedy and you have no goals, you're basically going through tragedy for no reason. But having a goal gives you a reason to get through it. All right, so if you're weak at one of these 5 things, I suggest you make some goals on how you think you can get better at some of these things. And again, the more resilient you are, the better off you'll be. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.